Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to another Ageless Energy Show. Today we're going to dive in and talk about simplifying your life. It's how can I say, the topic is apparent in our life, and I want to share some of our experiences with you, and hopefully that'll give you some insights on, or suggestions or ideas on how you can simplify and maybe improve your quality of life. I'll tie in supplements here and some of the other things that we're doing, but yeah, let's sit back, relax, and enjoy. If you have any questions, you can drop them below and I will pull them up. Otherwise, if you have questions on the replay, you can ask as well. Okay, I'm going to dive in. Morning, Nikki. Morning, Karen. We are streaming live. You may be watching live or you may be watching the replay on our private Facebook group or on a different platform. Regardless, welcome. If you're not sure who I am, my name is Drew Tadia, founder and CEO of True Form Life. For the past 20 years, we've been helping women 40 plus increase energy, burn body fat, and balance hormones. So if that's you, have come to the right place. So when I talk about simplifying, I feel like in a lot of cases, we're in a season of simplifying. And I like to talk about like a breakdown, different seasons of your life. And talk about it quite a bit because it's important. I think in most cases we go and push, and that's why we run into adrenal fatigue or adrenaline fatigue. There's many different reasons, like we're entirely stressed out, we're overwhelmed. I would say easily the majority of women that come to us are stressed out to their max. I call it, we'll help you with your chaos. We'll create calm to your chaos. Most women come in with a very chaotic life, and rightly so, as caregivers, nurturers, could be empty nesters. So you're used to running around with your kids. And some of our clients members are still running around with their kids. But then we have a demographic of women that are empty nesters, and now they're primary caregivers for their parents or for other family members. So it's not like it ever ends. For women in particular, it's always everyone else first and women last. And then, of course, they're entirely stressed out and they have no time for anything except for other people, no time for themselves. So I want to shine a different light on simplifying your life. And I would look at simplifying in every way possible. Like, for example, if you could picture for a moment how more simplified your life could be if you were to start to eliminate things that was just noise. Like, for example, you know that you spend too much time on your phone. We all know that, right? But what if you took action steps to eliminate some of the things that were on your phone that were causing distractions? You sit there, this may not be you, of course. Some of you may be sitting there on TikTok, on Instagram, whatever platform you choose to waste your time on. You sit there, you plan on going for a few minutes and you're on there for hours. Right? What if you just remove the app altogether? What would you do with your time? Just think about that for a moment, because most people have no idea what they do with their time. And then don't have time for workouts, don't have time for meal prep, don't have time for that book that you really want to dive into, because we're sitting there wasting our time on less than productive tasks that we don't really plan on doing or intentionally taking action towards. Like, I'd imagine most people don't say, I'm going to block off 2 hours this evening to scroll through my newsfeed. I wonder what the rest of the world is doing. And then 2 hours later, there you are on your newsfeed. Just consider for a moment, what if you completely remove that temptation? Would that make your life a little bit more simpler? Would you be more productive? That's just a snippet. That's one tiny area that you could address. If you're to look at supplements in particular, look at the supplements in your, what do you call it, medicine cabinet in your pantry. Just consider what supplements are in there and how many are expired, how many you've never used, how many you probably will never use, how often you'll go and you'll find something on the discount rack and you'll grab it, or a friend recommends something because they've tried something and it seemed to work for them, but there's probably a dozen other things that they've been doing that could have worked for them, but you go and grab it anyways because it could work, without any real knowledge of if it's beneficial, if the ingredients are clean, how to use it, when to use it. So it's not really an intentional thought or an intentional action. It's just, this was convenient at the time, so I grabbed it and put it on the shelf and never use it. So what if you had some type of rule or system in your life that says, these are the handful of supplements I'm going to take, and I'm not going to change anything else until fill in the blank, until I run out, until I want to try something new, until I'm this, whatever I'm taking this for seems to be better. Or what about if you decide I'm never going to buy discount supplements at the pharmacy, at the dollar store? And just think about that for a moment. Wouldn't that simplify your life? Because we are decision fatigued. That's all there is to it. Every day we go through so many decisions, we have so many thoughts, and we don't simplify our life in any way, shape, or form. We're just adding to it. Oh, let's just add more things. Which is why the first module that when women come into our Metabolism Accelerator program, the first module they do is called From Chaos to Calm. Because it doesn't matter if we say, okay, you can get a great workout in 20, 30 minutes, add some stretching, maybe 40. But a lot of women think, I got to go to the gym, you got to get in your car, you got to drive. It's going to take you 20 minutes to get there, 20 minutes home. You got to find a parking spot. Like, it's endless. Or you could work out in your own home for 20 minutes, 3 times a week. Done. Isn't that much, much more simpler? That's just one small area of your life where you could consider simplifying for the benefit. Like, the risk and reward is so much greater if you were to simplify your workouts, let's say, and you did simple workouts at home when you didn't need a bunch of equipment. Doesn't that sound much easier? But in our brains, women in particular, everything just goes. Brains are always buzzing, and women are always trying to add and trying to figure out how to implement, or I need more information to make a decision. Like, you don't need more information to make a decision. We're on information overload. In fact, I would say more information is going to cause you to delay your action even more. So those are 2 areas that I would consider looking at in your life. For example, that's 3. So if you look at your phone, where most people waste most of their time, decide, like, where is it, like, intentionally decide where it is in your life that you want to spend time. If that's on your phone, great, but be intentional of where that is. Do you have the news on in the background all day long? I think that seems to be, for a certain age demographic, that's just normal. The news is just always on in the background. Could you change that to something else? Could it be relaxing music? Because what I'm saying here, regardless of whatever political situation you feel you need to be in, it's the more information that is in the background filling your brain instead of relaxing music, or instead of, what about the notion of nothingness? Just quiet. Crazy, right? It's like a lot of people have a really hard time with the thought of meditation. If you sit there and meditate, or you sit there and deep breathing exercises, that's it. That's all you do. You sit there and breathe and you do nothing. A lot of people have a really hard time with that internally because there's not more noise filling their brain, and that's foreign to them. They're like, what am I supposed to do if the radio isn't on, if the news isn't on, if there isn't someone talking in my ear? It's a really difficult concept for us to grasp because our normal is overwhelm. And then our normal is elevated stress levels. And our normal is increased cortisol levels. And our normal is not able to burn body fat or put your body in a fat burning stage. That has become normalized. It's like there's so many normal things, like the system that we live in. Like, it's normal in our society to be in credit card debt. It's normal to have a house too big or a car we can't afford. Like, those are all things that we have normalized. Like waiting in line at the pharmacy, being on multiple medications. Like, those are all systems that we've been sold into that we believe should be our normal. And I imagine there's probably a few triggers in there that you didn't like hearing. But all I'm trying to do is shine a different light on what's happening in our lives and what's happening in society in general. Like, we are so run down because we feel more important to have a full calendar instead of having spaces in our calendar where you can have time to sit and do nothing, or you can have time to do something for yourself, like have a detoxing mag-flake bath, for example. But we're like, oh, I don't like to sit and do nothing, or I don't like to sit just sit there. And I heard this before. So I don't like baths. I'm like, well, why don't you like baths? Because you don't do anything. You're just sitting there. And I said, that's the point. Just sit there and do nothing. Morning, ladies. I see you guys popping in here. Thanks for the hellos and good mornings. So these are things that I would consider. Dorothy just said that sounds like me. Yeah. It's okay to be bored. It's okay to do nothing. But these are the things that will improve your quality of life. And I was thinking, like, if we were to look at the things that we're simplifying, I actually grabbed this book here and it was like, I'm a huge book reader, book fan. I got this book called Company of One. And I'm going to send this out to our team group just so that, because I try to keep open communication with them. And I'm going to say, don't worry, I'm not planning on getting rid of anyone, but I feel like it's a different place that we are in business. And I feel like books find you when you're ready. And this book is all about not growing your business. And it's like such a foreign concept. But once you get into business, you have to grow or you're failing. I've heard that many times from many experts, is that if your business is stagnant, or if it's not growing or making more money or more employees or more products, you're not keeping up with inflation and you are going backwards and you're failing. And I feel like that's such a lie we've been told. And I've subscribed to it with 2 feet. Jumped in with 2 feet, and it's like a pride thing for us to be like, oh, our business is growing, or we have more products, we have more employees, we have a bigger warehouse space. And we're in a season of life where we are trying to chop every single thing that doesn't serve us. And some of it's more challenging than others, but it's so emancipating. I cannot tell you the freedom I feel from the pressure of not trying to grow in different areas. And it's not just growing, it's getting better at what you're doing, improving your systems, improving your processes, removing the extra layers that don't need to be there. So there's so much to do in any situation. And I can easily relate to business because I'm in that heavily every single day. But it could be your family, it could be your personal life. I've done a lot of internal work over the last 6 months, and years past, I've read many self-help books, and there's so much to work on with just you, but we're so busy like externalizing everything, like keeping up with the Joneses, or what does our life look like from the outside? Do we look happy? Do we look successful? Is my house nicer than their house? Like, it's such a crazy world we live in where we don't live our lives for ourselves. We live our lives for other people. But once you start living your life for yourself, it's like the whole world opens its arms to you and it's okay, let's go. And instead of fighting against everything, you actually feel momentum and you feel flow. And for this last little bit, we've gone through a lot of changes in our life, but for the first time in a long time, life feels easy, which sounds crazy to say, but shouldn't life be easy? I think we've prided ourselves on working hard, working long hours, pushing through challenges, which is all fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I feel like the opposite case is we are afraid of hard. We're afraid of hard work. We're afraid of long hours. I can't tell you how many times people message me, and I just wrote this on our Triple S group I shared my story of being broke for many years and all the things that we did to try to make money. But so many people aren't working or don't have jobs or don't want to work long hours or don't want to quit their job and find better hours or more paid because it's difficult and it's uncomfortable and it's challenging. But if you want to improve your situation, you have to take different action to improve your situation. But good morning, ladies. It's always nice to see names pop up with pleasant messages. But it's the quality of life that you're looking for. And when I say life feels easy, it's almost like I feel like internally that's a negative. Like I feel like parts of life are supposed to be hard and you grind through it and you work harder because that's all I've known. But for the last handful of months or maybe a bit longer, even with the challenges, and we've taken leaps and bounds in many areas and made some really difficult decisions, but life has felt easy. And it's even saying those words is challenging, but just consider that for a moment. What if your life was easy? What if you weren't struggling to pay bills? What if you weren't so overwhelmed you couldn't squeeze in a 25-minute workout? What if you didn't scroll through your newsfeed for 2 hours a day and then there's shame or embarrassment, or you're upset at yourself because you didn't meal prep and you didn't spend time with your family or have a difficult conversation with your spouse to improve that relationship? What if that wasn't there? What if simplifying, what if you opened up your phone and there's a couple apps in there that you actually use that were beneficial to your health, instead of 55 apps and half of them you don't use and the other half is just a time waster? Just envision that, because I know that doesn't sound like doesn't sound like life-changing advice, but think about it. Most people spend half their day on their devices, whether that's phone or computer. And then think about your pantry. Think about your fridge. What about your basement? Garages? Do you have a full garage full of things that you've never used? Do you have a closet full of clothes that you're not going to wear or never going to wear? Or I've heard this before. I had this before, say some ladies, multiple times, some ladies will have seasons of clothing that are different sizes. So in winter, I gain a little bit of weight. So I have bigger sized clothes. And in summer, I trim up a little bit, I have smaller clothes. Or different seasons of clothing, right? I put up a post again, this is on our Triple S group. If you're not in it, just ask and it's a free group, but that's on School, different platform. I'll share this replay on School, but this is being streamed live on Facebook. But for like my hoodie, I wear my hoodie for just about every video now. Because it's a simple answer. I like black and white. It's black, white, and blue is our branded colors. It has our logo on it. I used to run around the house and get different clothing, different backgrounds, possibly different lighting. It would take me 25 minutes to set up. Part of that was my camera. I didn't have tools are important in your life. I have a camera now that self-zooms. Before, I literally put a product on top of the chair and tried to auto zoom. It was a nice camera, DSLR. Just didn't have the auto zoom. So I would put a product on, throw these over here laughing. So it would auto zoom on the product. So I'd stand behind the camera and I'd run around the camera and I'd come and sit here. I did that for years. Oh my gosh, crazy thoughts. But like simplifying your life, fortunately, could afford a better camera. And then we have software that does lighting, removes background sound, does some auto editing. How much easier, instead of doing that all manually or paying someone to do that, how much easier does that sound? Sounds a whole lot easier to me. I don't have a bunch of clothing in my closet. I probably have, doesn't matter. We like to shop at thrift stores and we like to keep our clothing size very minimal. But you have tons and tons of clothes that you never wear. What if you simplified? What if you remove some of that? How much easier would life be? Something to think about. We had some comments in here. It says, every 6 months purge, donation time, feels so good. Moira says, do you have those hats available? I like one. Didn't I get you a hat? Didn't we send you a hat in one of your orders, Moira? I think, at one time I had a hat. I don't know if we ever sent you one, but for when we were doing the in-person workshops, I had a hat sitting there waiting for you and you didn't come. You didn't show up. Good morning, baby boy. Did you have a nice sleep? Ironically, you're talking about getting rid of stuff, and I have 100 hats, and they don't need more. That's a Moira comment. Awesome. But we're doing a lot of things differently, and a lot of things are changing just because we're in a different season of life. And I feel like for you to adapt and change and adjust, it's worth it. Like, it's really worth seeing like the season of life that you're in. A lot of times people have the same breakfast every single morning for years. You sit. It's good. It's good. Can you hang out with Mama for a little bit? Okay. Okay, I'll read you books as soon as I'm done. Okay, Mama. Working from home is a dream. Sometimes. No, but it's my favorite time in the morning when he wakes up, actually. So I'm not going to be here. I'm going to be here for a few more minutes and I'm going to go hang out for book time. But I just wanted to wrap things up here and ask you to consider what in your life could be trimmed. And there's so many things. Stop buying supplements you don't need or not going to use. Get a handful of good quality supplements and be done with it. And don't watch the news or the commercials or your friends that are like, hey, try this one. And that's his True Form products. having the mindset that you don't always have to be pushing, you don't always have to be growing, you don't always need to have more or bigger. A lot of times that causes more challenges in your life. And I would suggest envisioning what your life looks like if your life was easy and you had less decisions and you had more alignment and you had more momentum and things just flowed a little bit nicer. You're gonna have so many decisions to make, like so many decisions that are filling up our brain that just continually clutter our vision and actually gets us closer to what we want. I think that would be life-changing if that was my message to anyone and helped at least one of you out there today. Thanks so much for joining live. We appreciate you being here and hanging out. All our products and services are at trueformlife.com. So if you want to check them out, you can find them there. Otherwise, we'll probably see you online someplace or another. Have a great day.